Hello, everyone. Welcome into another episode of Capturing the Game. It's the Game Within the Game podcast featuring Desmond Jones and Brady. Today, we got another outstanding guest. But before we get into it, I want to make sure we thank every person that's came on the podcast and did an interview, or every listener that subscribed and liked Capturing the Game. We really appreciate it. All the retweets, all the likes, all the subscribes, been much very appreciated. But so now we got that out the way. Today, we have the awesome head coach of Cal State Fullerton. It is no other than Ashley Preston. Ashley, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing fabulous. It's a today recording is on a Wednesday, but it's a nice Wednesday evening out here in the Midwest. It's nice and sunny outside, and no rain in the forecast. So it's nice little weather outside. So everything's good on our end.
Good.
Brady, how you doing, man?
Oh, we're doing good here. It's nice. I mean, it's like a 72 degrees out. I could have this weather all the time. A little bit of a
Yeah,
breeze and just sunny or good.
I know the Cali they get that every day, so ain't nothing new for them. They just all we wake up to this every day.
We do, and I've been spoiled by it. So, used to live on the East Coast. So, yeah, like my friends make fun of me now because at 60 degrees, I'm like, "Ooh, it's chilly." They're like, "What?" And I can't complain. I live next to the beach. I can walk across the street, and there's the beach. So, those are the benefits. But you pay for the weather. Trust me, y'all. You pay for the weather and taxes and housing. So.
Yeah. Oh man, that's lovely though. I wish that I could just live right across the street from a beach. Like, what? Oh my goodness. But yeah, Ashley, go ahead and tell the audience a little bit about yourself so they can get to know who you are.
Sure. I'm originally from Las Vegas, Nevada. Before I played volleyball, I played basketball for a long time. And then in 10th grade, I switched to volleyball. Then from there, I got a scholarship to historically Black college, Morgan State University. And I played there for 4 years. I was a starting libero and broke records. And I was named last year one of the top 50 players in the MEAC. So that was cool. And then I stayed in Baltimore for a boy at the time, but it actually helped my career because I asked my coach if I could be her GA because I wasn't sure what I was going to do with my communications degree. So she said, "Oh, I have a full-time assistant position for you." And I was the captain for her for 2 years. So she gave me that position. And my mom pushed me to start my master's during that time too, because if you work for a state school, you get tuition remission. So I got to go to the University of Baltimore for publication design. And so after that 2 years that I was her assistant, I became the assistant at Loyola Maryland University, which was right down the street past York Road. And that was a great experience too, because I got to see a different side of Baltimore as it relates to, it's a very Catholic Jesuit school, white dominated school where I was, HBCU life. So got to experience that. And then after that year, I took a leap of faith and applied to Spelman College head volleyball coach job / sports information director. And I had some experience in sports information. So I would have to basically play the match and then write my own stories. So it was kind of funny. So from there, I had one of the best records in history for when they became Division III. And it was funny because it was only 9 wins, but it was like really exciting for that program. And so they ended athletics. So I chose to, of course, apply and continue my career in coaching. And I got the job at Coppin State University in Baltimore, Maryland. So I went back to Baltimore and then 3 years there. I'm the winningest coach in history there. And they were just amazing young women. And I love West Baltimore. I owe West Baltimore so much. And then from there, just applied to Fullerton. And I was the creative hire as it relates to my boss because he took a chance and he did. With coming from HBCU to the Big West Conference, it's huge. I play against, past legends of Dave Shoji and Brian G at Long Beach State that I looked up to. So yeah, and I've been here for 6 years. It's been a long, bumpy road, but a road with a lot of growth. So a lot, Lenny can say you go from 0-28 to then, in 2019 being co-coach of the year, so that is just shows that you can fall and rise again. And that's really the story. And you can recreate yourself, and you can recreate the culture and stuff like that if you stick to it. So
Yeah, man, that is something. That's a lot of going around and going to different locations. But what I'm curious about is how did you come to love the game of volleyball? Where did that passion and that drive, where did that start?
yeah, it was actually funny. I was talking to my friend after a basketball practice. I just happened to see her walking, Keiki Lindo. And I was like, where are you going? And she's like, oh, I'm going to volleyball tryouts. You want to come? And I was like, is that sport that wears the tight shorts? Like, I'm not doing that. I wear basketball shorts. Like, I don't understand why they wear those. And so she's like, just come. I think you'll like it. And it was literally her just saying on a whim, which is so crazy, right? Like, this is my whole life and career, but yeah, on a whim, her saying that. And so 10th grade, I made the decision after being moved up from JV to varsity, and shout out to Durango High School and Robert Kelly and Kelly O'Quinn, because I really appreciate them of like moving me up to varsity. And I did. And so I was trying to play both. I was trying to play AAU basketball and play club volleyball. And it is way too tough to do. And so I made a decision, an executive decision, because I'm like, okay, at that time, Durango basketball for women wasn't that good, but volleyball was hitting in the state, in Las Vegas, in Nevada. So I was like, you know what? I think this will get me more of college, college scholarship than basketball. So that's really where the decision came from. Yeah.
Man, that's crazy because it's not often you hear someone choose volleyball or basketball, which I applauded though because you made a decision that was best for you at the time, and especially when you're looking at your high school, you were like, this sport we ain't really too hot, but over here it's popping. So yeah, I want to definitely go down that route. Did you ever imagine volleyball like I won't say almost being the face of your career, but like you going this far with volleyball?
No, it's crazy. The universe knows you better than you know yourself, I used to aspire to just from high school into college. It's something we as women hear a lot. Like, you're gonna go to college, you're gonna find your husband. And then my life at 25, I'm gonna be married. And then by 29, 30, I'm gonna have 2 kids. And then I'm like, and then I'll just have some job somewhere and do whatever, right?
Yeah.
And so it's so crazy how it completely shifted, like, and the universe is like, nah, I got some more planned out for you, And so I love now pouring in really what I love to do, and it's vision and purpose. So my vision is to create a dope culture. My purpose is to help women be the heroes of their own story. So because like that was my mindset back in college, there's so many of the young women that I coach where that's their mindset, where I'm like, that's all great, but who are you and what do you have of your own? And I really like encourage my young women to really seek that and find that in college instead of finding a partner and putting their dreams and goals to the side. Because some of my friends, and I appreciate them and their honesty about marriage and kids, they said when I got married in my 20s, I didn't know who I was, whereas my husband got to still go out and pursue his dreams and goals. And it's just innate in us at times as women to take a step back from our careers and goals to take care of the household and the kids. And like I said, you can do all that, but you got to compartmentalize, and men do it so well. Y'all are literally compartments, right? I'm going to pour into this and focus on that. Bet, now I got it. So then the next thing I'm going to focus. We're like spaghetti, where we just in that whole mix everything up and try to be super women, and we can do it all at the same time. And you can't, not to your best, right? And so I really, because my purpose is that heroes of your own story, that's really what I love to do. And I just do it through the lens of volleyball, And so that's what's been interesting about it. My communications degree in publication design, I've really been able to utilize that as it relates to creating dope t-shirts for my young women, creating dope slogans and sayings and stuff like that. So for the Titan culture, we said that when we wanted to change the culture of the program, be your sister's keeper, that came from pop culture reference of New Jack City, and be your brother's keeper. And just being able to do that and seeing my young women, especially when you're at state schools that don't get the publicity as the Power Fives, when you're able to create that and you create a buzz on campus because people are wearing your shirts and things like that, that's what I like to do. That's the core of it. I just happen to do it through volleyball.
No, that's incredible. And it's called The Heroes of Your Own Story. Because now I'm curious. Now I want to go look on the site see if I can go find a shirt because I would definitely love to support and definitely love to rock my
I'll
shirt.
send both of y'all a shirt. It's not on the website. I wish it was, like, have my own little store, you know what I mean? But I'll definitely send y'all a shirt.
Oh yeah, you need to get a store then. If that be the case, like, come on now. You need to spread the love.
I know.
But no, that's I mean, just you're like so far our past couple of episodes at this point in time when they release, all of us been using athletics to help give other athletes a purpose, or help give athletes, find another purpose outside of sports. And especially like women, I look at my wife, like I always think the world over, not just because she's my wife, but just because the fact that, I see what she does on an everyday basis, and people doesn't know that the day-to-day grind that she has to go through. And so, you are right. Women are, they are legit superheroes. Like they are, but I mean, I think the world of my wife, I think the world of a lot of just different females because of the fact that just everything that they have to go to. And you're right, with men, we see something we want, we go chase after it. All right, we done, moving on to the next one, et cetera, et cetera. It's not just the same for women. So, what was what was your journey like going through all those like different coaches, like different uh coaching positions that you've been through?
Yeah, the journey. HBCU is home always because I
Always.
went there, and then I grew up in it, being a young
Hmm.
coach. Like, I was a head coach at Spelman at 25, and I was a D1
Man.
head coach at 26. So that journey too of finding myself
Yeah.
too is been a great journey.
Yeah.
And I've had my pitfalls and my ups and downs, like, because it's different geographically too. The way in which I can talk to athletes and stuff and have a relationship on the East Coast, very different than the West Coast. So then when I was on the East and then come to the West, I thought, oh, I could take this with me. I can take the directness with me. I can take well, I'm just being straight up with you with me, right? And then I had to realize I need to navigate and understand where I am in the space of me as my growth as a person. I had to overcome an imposter syndrome when I first got the job. I had to overcome too people not seeing a Black female head volleyball coach at Fullerton. I came after someone who has been with the program for 23 years, and so
Jesus.
everyone knowing her too, that was tough,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then the deserving, like, I don't deserve this job. And then me taking all of the criticism and cheap seats and putting it in my spirit, which I shouldn't have done, terrible to do, but I did it, right? And so then overcoming that too. And what I will say is my administration, I appreciate my boss because of the fact he went through it with me, but
Yeah.
also too, they taught me a lot, but I also taught him a lot as it relates to what does a Black, Indigenous, person of color coach need? What does a
Yeah.
young coach need? What does a
Yeah.
coach need as it relates to being at a small school and stuff like that, and then coming into a program where, oh, well, you have everything because you didn't have anything over there. And it's like, no, but if you want to get successful here, you got to
Hmm.
give me the stuff that others have, And so navigating all of that, like I said, has been a journey, but I'm so happy that I have removed myself from it being about winning. So winning is, I'm crazy. I have 18 to 22-year-olds dictating my livelihood, right? And the
Yeah.
livelihood is based on winning, right? And I'll
Yeah.
never discredit that. But also, too, I had to get to a point of what do I want to focus on? Because if you always focus on the outcome, you're not going to get the results you desire. So process and really going back and doing an overhaul of how do I want to show up as a coach, right? Because intentions without actions don't mean anything. So I can't just slap a slogan on a shirt, but I have to really embody it and breathe it. And for my young women, because no matter what, they're always watching me. And so, like I said, have I messed up? Of course I have. Like, but I'm very authentic and vulnerable in being like, and I grew, because that's what also people want to the fall and then be able to rise again. That's what all of us want, especially as coaches of color. There's so many times we don't get that luxury, you know? And I thought, like, in my head, I thought, if I lose this job, they'll never hire another Black woman again.
Yeah.
And I remember my mentor, beautiful Black woman, Dr. Eanes, she's the president in a college in New York. She told me one time, because I was like, I never wanted this. I never wanted to be the first. Like, I just wanted to coach and be left alone. Like, you know what I mean? And she goes, baby, sometimes being the first doesn't mean you're going to be successful. It just means it's possible. Yeah. And I was like, oh, like, you know what I mean? And I look back at people talk mess so much about Barack Obama, but at the end of the day, it was that. It didn't mean he was going to be successful. It just meant that it was possible and it had to be seen. And then really, I learned a lot just after George Floyd too, of how people see me. And I'll never forget an assistant coach at Fullerton. He said to me, he saw me and he was Hispanic, and he was like, Ashley, I just want to tell you, when I saw you on your press conference, he was like, oh yeah, now I can be a head coach. And I was like, what? Like, me? Like, you're soccer. And you didn't think you could? He's like, seeing you made me believe that a person of color, that I had an opportunity and a chance. And he's like, and I know I never shared that with you. I just wanted to let you know. And that was so impactful for me. So just being a representative too, and being the best representative of Ashley that I can be and my authentic self, I like to do, and I like to show up for as a coach. And yeah, my journey, it's been a lot, but like I said, I love my young women. I love the outcomes and what we're showing and flourishing. And it took time. And that's what people don't understand. It takes more time than what you think. And now that I've done this, I'm 35. So I know for a fact by 40, I'm going to be an administrator, because now we don't see a lot of college coaches being administrators anymore. So you have people telling us what to do, but has never sat in our seat. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that is something, just that journey and everything you told. Like, that's like, if I was an athlete, I'd be playing for you, because the culture that you said so far is just something that I want to get along with. But what I'm curious about is each of your stops, where, and like while you were doing the game, where did you find like that coaching was your true passion? Like where did that like stem from? I know we figure out like why you want to play volleyball. When did that in your mind click, like, oh, I'm good at coaching and this is what I want to pursue and help breed the younger generation?
Yeah, at Coppin. When I came there, all of the women that I had were freshmen and sophomores. And so it's like we grew up together, you know what I mean? And being able to have best seasons in history and seeing the community support them, you know what I mean? That's really what made it live. Like us being able to pack, we played in the small gym. We didn't play in the arena. That was Fang's arena. And I was all right with it, because I like smaller gyms, because you get to create an impactful like crowd and vibe. And it came, like I said, it came from them, from Coppin kids. And we even created a turn up squad. The baseball team would come to our matches because they were friends with them and a couple of their friends outside of the baseball team. And I was like, all right, y'all, you guys come to every game. If you keep coming to the games, I'll get you t-shirts and I'll design them for you. And so they came back to me and they're like, okay, we're calling it the Turn Up Squad. When I tell you, during that time, that squad was the best thing ever. It was such a competitive advantage. Everyone in the conference hated them, but wanted one. It was so funny. And they then had rules about it. Like there were certain rules that you had to follow in order to stay in the Turn Up Squad. they were so funny. They would have pep talks with my girls before the match. Then
Yeah.
if they didn't play well, I would talk to them. They're like, man, they trash. We're not talking to them tonight and stuff like that. And then even one time they came up to me and was like, Coach P, because I used to have to drive vans to Hampton, Virginia. And so they're like, Coach P, we really think that this is an important game. So can we get in the van with y'all? I'm like, no, like, what are you talking about? And it was that vibe and that culture. And I realized too, as it relates to myself, I think because I was considered an underdog because I didn't start playing volleyball till the 10th grade and things like that, I seek that in others so that I can help them grow and do things that they don't think is possible. And so that's what started with the Coppin Young Women. And one of my colleagues said that. He's like, Ashley, I'm never worried about your recruits. What I'm worried about is the fact that you get them to do things that I never thought that they could, you know? And I'm like, it's pouring into them to really let their light shine. So be a light myself so that their light can shine. And one of the young women, I can talk about her, she just graduated, my baby. Savannah Costello, she was a walk-on. And I don't even think she really believed in how amazing she is at Fullerton. And so she committed to me. And her freshman year, it was tough. And we had to understand each other too. And then sophomore year, still a little rocky. The culture wasn't there. So she was in 2017. Yeah. Culture wasn't there. We don't even talk about 2018. 2019, she was top 10 in the nation for digs. And also she got invited to go to the Olympic tryouts for the college team. And her wildest dreams came true. But I always told her, like, Sav, you got it. Because you wouldn't be here if I didn't believe in you. And she didn't believe me. She's like, you're crazy. Like, we're all crazy for doing this with you because you're crazy. And then I always tell them junior year is when you shine, right? And her junior year, she went off and unfortunately didn't have a season in her 2020 year. But the one thing she said was that I asked her, because she was upset, of course. And I was like, if 2019 was your final year, would you be satisfied? And she was like, yes. I can't believe all of the things that I was able to do at Fullerton. And she earned a scholarship too, by the way. So that's what really brings me that joy, is seeing stories like that. Savannah Costello is also a first generation student athlete, you know? And so just her family, and I appreciate her so much, because that whole 2017 class, I recruited character, and I recruited young women that I knew would turn the program in the right direction, you know, and they all balled out and showed what they're capable of. But it came from, I think, me thinking of myself, you know, and how I felt as an underdog. I hope that answered everything.
No, it truly does. Because, I mean, one of the things that we do here on Capturing the Game is capture those stories that people don't know about. So the stories that you share with us, we really appreciate it, because we love to hear it. We love the audience to hear about it, because those stories are just things that we never know about. So this is the reason why this platform exists. So we just appreciate you, being here and sharing those behind the scenes stories with us, because I mean, that's what fuels us. I know what I was getting ready to ask, but now I just slipped my question. So you talked about recruiting. As how difficult has it been for you recruiting in volleyball, especially being a woman of color recruiting? It just, like, in general, how has it been for you recruiting? Because I know you had to, when you first started off. Okay, I'm not sure if when you got to Fullerton, if that was like your first full time, like, all right, I actually had to go out to start recruiting. What's some of the things that you learned about recruiting over time in general? I'm just curious, because I'm always curious about a coach's experience when it comes to recruiting.
Yeah, it was, I mean, no, Coppin, I recruited, but I was using my funds to recruit. So yes, of getting a budget, yes, at Fullerton to recruit. But coaches, we could always use more in recruiting dollars. It's a hustle and it's a grind. As it relates to that, when the program of Fullerton was really good in 2010, right? And so that is their legacy in 2010. But Now it's tough. State schools, it's tough. You got to figure out what's your niche, right? And you sell yourself, really. And that's what I do. I sell myself. Of course, sell the culture of the program. And I know I talk about culture a lot, but when I didn't have it, I was doing a disservice to the young women in my program. And so focusing on culture is something that I think all coaches and really invest in it should do, because that's what helps you when you're losing. And that's what helps you, it also helps you to win too and get there. So we really talk about our sister's keeper. We talk about how we help our young women with critical conversations of conflict and confrontation. Going out and evaluating it, that's the easy part. But to get them to come and pick you over UCLA and USC and Long Beach State at 18, you know what I mean? Like those things. And so it's like, what are you selling? What are you? And it's us, it's me, it's my young women talking for the program and for themselves, and talking about the pitfalls of the program and the growth of the program, so that they are really honest. And I'm okay with my young women, like, yeah, if they ask you questions, be straight up. If they ask you questions about Coach P, be like, yeah, Coach P used to yell, she don't yell no more, you know what I mean? Or yeah, Coach P used to come into the gym just frustrated and angry. And also too, because I realized I was going through a lot. You know what I mean? And as a coach, we got to show up well, because it's not their fault that we just had a bad meeting with the AD, you know? And so, so you got to heal the wound, or else you'll bleed on others. And that's what I like as it relates to my young women, that they know, they're like, yeah, no, Coach P's straight up. Coach P's real cool, but don't cross that line, because she'll let you know real quick. And just in recruiting, it is getting that, and it is getting that kid that thinks differently, right? So it's like, it's easy to be at a program that you sit the bench on just to put on Instagram that you're a part of a team. And here's my thing, but are you playing though?
Yeah.
Then what are you really doing, right? So, but do I want those kids that desire the big gym, the glitz and glamour and things like that? No, because they won't give me what I need, right? As it relates to building this program. But those young women that reach out to us, we try to reach out to as much as we can. Yeah, we go for the heavy hitters and the big and things like that. And we did in 2022, shooting for the stars, right? And one came back and she was like, I just love the program. What's helped us is honestly being virtual and being able to discuss more about the culture and our philosophies and things like that, as opposed to just being like, oh, well, we win all the time. You know, once the court was taken away, then you had to really see coaches and what they're about. And also too, what the program is really rooted in, when you can't lean on success and winning, you know what I'm saying? So, and then also too, just me being authentic and vulnerable as it relates to, we talk about what happened last summer of George Floyd, the summer protests. We talk about anti-Asian hate. We talk about LGBTQ issues. We talk about those things, and me being honest with parents that I talk to about, these are the things that we are going to discuss within our culture, because I'm more than a coach, and my players for damn sure are more than athletes. And I can't wait, because we're about to help them too. I'm just a different type of coach. So we're about to help them too, as it relates to name, image, and likeness. I want my young women, all of my young women, to have their own businesses that they can profit off of, because in my program, I have helped some of my young women have businesses, but I have to go through compliance, right? Of like, okay, she can't do this, she can't do that, she can't, like, you know, but I can't wait, because that same young woman will be able to now market herself and her business more. And I'm super excited about it. So
I'm super excited for you, and I'm trying to think of all my younger cousins. There's a group text thread of me, one of my older cousins about the same age as me, and then it's like 5 or 6 just young ladies. They get on my nerves, but but they are also authentic and real, and I think one of them might be interested in volleyball. But and I'm saying, hey, you need to, she's interested in this, so you need to just kind of follow this young lady. You need to follow Coach P, because she's the real deal. That's what I feel as though. I don't know about you, B.
No, that, I mean, that's awesome. And I was thinking while you're saying that is like, that's the type of coaches that I want to play for and that I want to be involved around, is the ones who are, they know that line of being honest and trying to help you succeed after sports. Because the podcast episode we recorded the other day, sports isn't your life. If you're just rooted in, okay, I'm just playing volleyball, I'm just playing basketball, I'm just doing football, like if that's all your life is about, you're gonna miss opportunities outside of that because you can't play forever. And
Right.
that's one of the things that I'm sure you're growing your program, and from what we picked up is like you want to help them succeed after they're done with the sport, because it's not going to be around forever. And that's awesome and amazing that we're hearing that and hearing this perspective, because not many people get to talk with a coach and they get to hear that perspective of how you raise your program and how you started at the very bottom, and you started with those freshmen sophomores your first year, and then you've just grown from that spot. And as you're going, I know you're going to do more amazing things, and it's just glad that we have this conversation, that we can watch you after and see everything that you're going through.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
No, you're
Oh,
welcome.
yeah, no, we appreciate you, cause like I just love your energy. That the especially just the fact that you talk about just some of those crucial moments, the George Floyd, the LGBT community, all that, because a lot of people like doesn't give the space nor the time to actually really sit down and really approach or even sit down and talk or address some of those issues. I can't tell you how many times that I've like even to this day, like I when those things come about, I just feel I sit back within myself and I don't, I'm like, I shelter into myself. I'm like, yo, like I'm done for the day. Like I'll call my brother. I'm like, yo, bro, I can't. I'm heading home because of this right here. I can't think straight. Like
Mhm.
I can't, like everyone else, in the office is all cool, you
Mhm.
know, yada yada yada. Another day in the office, I'm just like, yo, another one of my brothers just passed away, unarmed. So I appreciate that you talk about those stuff with your athletes, and I think it's having those healthy conversations is super important.
Thank you.
Um, yeah. The first, I believe your first year you went 0-22.
Oh,
Is that
yes.
correct?
Oh,
Yeah.
and 28.
0-28. Okay. So how did you feel like at I want to like how did you feel at that moment? Because knowing that like yo, you just first year into this program, you went 0-28.
First year,
Uh
first, I was the first Black female head coach, all of that.
yeah.
Man, I was in such a dark place. And I
Yeah.
was like, everybody was right. I didn't deserve this
Mm-hmm.
job. And it's a different from deserving and are you ready? And I had
Yeah.
to really acknowledge that and understand it. And like I said, so in my future, I want to be an administrator and I want to be the one in the room that says, okay, if we do take on this candidate, what are we giving to this candidate to make sure that they're set up for success? So I got a coaching mentor in 2019, and I look back, you don't know what you don't know, right? And I look back and I wish I would have humbled myself enough to get a coaching mentor in my first year, to really navigate. But we
Mm-hmm.
have egos as coaches, right? So I'm like, I know everything. I'm hired. They hired me, so I'm the
Yeah.
expert. And I really realized like you got to be a lifelong learner. You got to learn how to get out of your own way and grow.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was so hard for me to get out of it because then after that, like my light dimmed completely. It was dark. I didn't want to go out and recruit because then people, the cheap seats, right? They come up to you and be like, ooh, like maybe you should just go back. You were successful there. Just go back. And I
Yeah.
realized like people project on you what they would do, right? It's very
Right.
hard to stand in 0 and 28 and be not okay with it, but show up, right? And then it's
Yeah.
very, after that, I decided to try to go get wins really fast. So I got a lot of transfers in. And the one thing about if you don't have a strong culture, then transfers dictate it, right? And and they don't know no better. They're just coming in and being like, well, y'all need me. You went 0-28, so you need me. You know what I mean? And so going through that transition of the quick fix didn't work out for me in those next 2 years or next year. And then, like I said, in 2017, I really chose to just recruit culture and recruit freshmen and just recruit better for myself. And then 2018, when I still didn't get the results I wanted, then I was like, okay, I'm gonna throw numbers at the problem. So I had 22 young women, but once again, no culture. And I really realized I wasn't focused on the right things. And I then got refocused. And once again, that's why I appreciate my boss of giving me that chance, because he could have, and after 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, been like, this isn't working out, we're good. But it's like that whole notion of like, it's a smile, right? So you're at one point, you go down, and then you're going to come back up, but you gotta understand that it's a cyclical process, and then you gotta go down. And I don't think a lot of coaches enough talk about that. They talk about the success, or they talk about their new job. We're being more vulnerable now about talking about our true journey and our pitfalls. And also too, I talk about that too, because what I wasn't doing and what I wasn't taking care of was my mental state. So mental health is huge for me. Mental health is huge of what we talk about for our young women too, because like I said, and I brought it up before, if you don't heal the wound, you're going to bleed on others. And I was bleeding from that 0-28 year. And I was bleeding on my team and my coaching staff and everyone around me. And once I really took a step back and be like, all right, let me center Ashley, and let me focus on that mental health part. And that's what I did in the spring of 2019. And that's what caused me to really be rooted in the process, not outcome. So even if I'm like, oh, process, like, it's not about the outcome right now, it's about the process. It roots me back into, you got to be self-aware, and you got to be willing to hear about yourself, which I did a lot, and then make change. You can't always just put it on everybody else. Oh, it's the players. Oh, it's the staff. Oh, it's the administrators. You can't do all that. You got to check yourself as a coach and really recognize, if you do it the right way, you're going to have success again. We so much too fear failure because it's tied to our paycheck. You feel me? So of course, like I said, we're crazy. And I tell the administrators that. I'm like, coaches are crazy. Of course we are. Like, you know what I mean? It's about contracts and renewals. We don't get the luxury. And then it's, what have you done for me lately? So we can't even celebrate our wins a lot, because it's like, on to the next. Okay, next year you better do this. But my whole squad, we're seniors and we're about to leave, and they're about to leave. Yeah, it doesn't matter. You got to do it again, And so I love when people ask me that, because I used to think it wasn't possible, y'all. I said, there's no way somebody can go to 0-20, and whatever. That's impossible. Like, how can you not win one match until you go through it? It's really possible.
Oh yeah. I know I witnessed that with the high school I went to in Chicago, where our one particular program did not do well in the 4 years of its existence. And so I get it, but just to see you stand through it, to see where you are today is, I tip my hat off to you. I would tip it off right now, but my headphones will go flying. We won't see that happen. but I tip my hat up to you. I tip because you learn and you change and you develop, and you recognize. I don't look at it as failures. I look at it as lessons. Lessons and opportunities to continue to grow. And it's not often you hear about coaches that still sticking around after the 0-22 and still, and still live to see another day, and I just so happy to hear that you still, still doing things big, especially at Cal State. Brady, what about you, man?
No, it's for me. I don't know if I could go through that as what you through, because I mean, it is.
I appreciate the honesty. No, for real.
Just like going through that, like as you're saying, with your mental state is important. Like mine would be like, well, what am I doing wrong? And I just want to fix it immediately, but things can't change that fast. It can't be a snap of a finger change. You have to, as you said, you gotta go through that process. You gotta go through the ups and downs. You said the smiley face. You're gonna be up here. You're gonna go down. You're gonna come right back up.
Yeah.
And as Desmond was saying with like the lessons, that's one of the things as you were saying all that, I'm like, okay, with the lessons, what is one like life lesson that you've learned through your like coaching career as you so far? Like, what is one thing that has just stuck with you that you just try to implement in your life, and so maybe like the athlete's lives?
Yeah, Brene Brown, life savior. So Dare to Lead, Brene Brown. Please, anyone in a leadership position, read that book. There's one thing that she says: the story I'm making up. And so many times we live in our head and make up stories, right? Of like I said, I suck as a coach. I'm a failure. I suck as a player. I'm not good. And when I learned that phrase of that's the story I'm making up, it really puts it into a perspective for you, because she says in her book, our brain is hardwired to come to a conclusion. Like we need a conclusion, even if it's the wrong one and it's completely false narrative. It's like, satisfaction, right? So I joke with my players. It's like, I do that all the time, even in my personal life, right? Of like, he didn't call me back, so he must be doing something, or he must not be talking to me because he's mad at such and such, da 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 da. And then when I talk to him, he's like, yo, your mind, like, what? I was in the shower. I went here, I went there. Like, you know what I mean? But I was satisfied because I was like, yep, this is the reason why, right? So that's literally what it is. The story I'm making up has been great for me. And the lesson that I have, another lesson, I know you said one, but a lesson that I've held true is be your authentic self. Mm-hmm. And you got to be true to yourself and be your authentic self. And that's what I want for each of my young women, because their story is their own. Their life is their own. And yeah, so yeah. Story I'm making up, that's a huge one.
No, that's fine. You can have more than one. It's not limited to just one.
Or like even my players, right? Like Coach P took me out because she hates me. Hard. And I'm like, what story you just completely made up? I took you out because you just had 3 errors. Like, you know what I mean? But it's so easy to go to the emotional side of like, oh, it's because X, Y, and Z, you know? So.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. I know I'm quick to make up my own story. And I sometimes I do it just because, like, you know, just because of grins and giggles, even though I know that's not the truth. But sometimes I just like to see, how far my curiosity can go.
See, mine's dangerous, so I can't be doing it.
Oh man, yeah, because between me and my wife, it was like, you didn't answer me, and it'd be like, well, it's because no, you was doing something else. I'm like, no, it's not the case. But we go back and forth with each other with that, so that's just our thing. Oh man, but no, I mean, look, we appreciate every single lessons that you bring up, because it kind of either one reinforces stuff on us, or two, it help teaches us more things. Because I know with each episode that we've done, we've grown and developed, and we try to take the segments over here, and we just try to apply it to our own life. So yeah, every nugget or every gem that you drop, it's not only helping the audience, but it's also helping us.
Gotcha. And disengaging with the cheap seats. Definitely had to do that after an 0-28 season. So all of the blogs and everything, all that stuff, like I'm like, oh, okay, cheap seats. Like, you couldn't sit in this space.
So couldn't.
Ashley Preston, you know what I mean? You don't know. You don't really know how hard it is for me to show up every day and pour into people and try to get the outcome that we desire to gain the success and win, so that I can keep my job. You know what I mean? And so having to disengage with the cheap seats. So I tell my young women all the time, they joke and think like Coach P hates Instagram. And I'm like, no, I hate the fact that it has impacted your life so much. I remember life before social media. Like, Facebook started my freshman year of college. And so with that, I'm able to remove myself. And I also appreciate just the foundation of my family, like self-confidence and things like that. It was huge. And, you are great because you're in this family and you're going to do great things. And
absolutely, people
laugh because my grandfather is from Atlanta, Georgia, old school man. We live in very patriarch. He is the man of the household, like all of that. And I'll never forget this. My assistant at the time, Dave Butler, he didn't meet my grandfather. So he came up to me and he goes, Ashley, if you don't win, you're going to get fired. And then he turns to Dave. Hi, I'm Bill Ellis. And I was like, Papa. And he was like, what? I love this man. I was like, yeah, that's my grandfather. I expect excellence. Like, he told me high school isn't a graduation I'm going to celebrate. Call me when you go to college. And then once I went to college, once I started my master's, good. Now start your doctorate. Like, he much prefer I go and get my doctorate then continue down this path of coaching. But he supports me and comes to every single game and all of that, and has that support system for me because he understands the struggles and hardship and the cheap seats and the people and the naysayers. So that would be my advice to anyone doing things that you have to then put yourself out there in the world. There's going to always be somebody. Always. And like my favorite, it's kind of funny. One of my favorite rap songs, like when I was in Baltimore, was In the Club, right? If you ain't got no haters, you ain't popping. Yeah. And so what I did is I put on my wall, I recreated it since I'm at Fullerton. So I recreated to say, if you don't have any adversaries, you're not at the pinnacle of your success. So shout out to, I can't remember his name, but that rapper, because it says Dr. Rich on it instead of like his rap name. So
no, I like that. That's gonna be a clip moment from this episode. I already know.
Yeah, if you don't have any adversaries, you're not at the pinnacle of your success. Or if you ain't got no haters, you ain't popping. So
I know that's right.
What about y'all? What's your favorite sports teams? I mean, I see some in the back.
Oh, yeah. I on past episodes get a lot of hate. Here, get a lot of love, get a lot of hate. I'm a Michigan fan, so it's kind of
Harbaugh fan.
Yeah. So some people don't like it, some people like it, and it's just I'm just living in it. I mean, I live in Ohio, so it's probably not a good place to be at, but gotta be different.
What I admired about when he first got hired was the fact that he got the Jordan deal. I was like, yo, he gets it. He gets the kids. That's really what it was. Like, I was like, that is so dope. He's going to get recruits off of that alone. That it was strictly, it wasn't Nike, it was a Jordan deal. And so I thought that was really cool. Yeah. And now UCLA is Jordan.
Yep, they are. And I mean, the whole that whole brand itself, is ridiculous. But yeah, for me, my favorite teams are. We didn't get the chance to really do this too much, but my team. So I love baseball, so I'm a White Sox fan. But I grew up in Chicago, so
I know I saw the bear down. It's all right.
Yeah, it's all really Chicago sports. Minus the Cubs. I support the Cubs. I don't like hate them or anything, but it's just not my team for me. So. But since I've been in Indiana, I've adopted other teams. Like, I've adopted the Pacers. I root for them. I've adopted the Colts. That's my second go-to team now. I support the Fever.
Play for the Colts. So
you say your cousin?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. And then the Colts, and then I love watching Fever basketball. Not right at the moment, but they've been struggling lately, but I'm still a big supporter of the W and the WNBA.
Yeah, WNBA, like those women, wow, they are willing to sacrifice their money, their time, everything for their causes. And I'm so happy that they got like the NBA players wearing their sweatshirts and endorsing them, because they truly were the ones pushing the change and making the change, and I just love how they sacrifice it, because so many times we hear, right, in athletics, it's like, well, you can't do that. You can't say that or else you'll get fired. And of course, we saw it visibly, right, with Colin Kaepernick. And it's so crazy. Like, the world works in so crazy ways that Colin knelt, and then the world stopped, and Colin knelt and they were upset. The world stopped when a man was murdered by someone else kneeling. And I'm just like, that is full circle. And I had a great conversation with my other former assistant, and he texted me about, like, as it relates to George Floyd, because they talked to their players about it at his school. And then he sent me this text and stuff like that. And then I called him. I was like, So now you get Colin Kaepernick, because back then you didn't. And he's laughed
yeah.
and he was like, okay, Ashley, like, you know, and we had a good conversation, because I remember during that time, he asked me, like, so do you think it was worth it for him to do that, worth it for Colin to do that? And I told him, I said, sometimes in a man's life, your passion and mission has to be greater than the price, you know? And so at that time, it wasn't the thing to do. And then just to see it, you know what I mean? Just to see it come full circle. And it's crazy, but
Yeah, it is
yeah.
crazy. It is crazy. And like me and my brother, we go through this conversation, often a lot because, he's in a predominantly white environment, so a lot of people don't really necessarily get it. I'm in a predominantly white environment, so a lot of people just don't necessarily get it or don't understand. They just, you always hear the phrase, stick to just being an athlete, stick to just being an athlete, and then people just need to realize we're more than just being an athlete. So we're more than just who we are on a day-to-day basis, whether we're just an engineer or a coach or a physician. We're created to be so much more than just what we do on a day-to-day basis. And people just don't understand that, especially when you see, we look at the George Floyd incident, you look at all the other incidents leading up to the George Floyd incident. And so it's just crazy.
That's why I appreciate so much LeBron James as the
Mm-hmm.
businessman. Um,
Mm-hmm.
One of the worst things somebody told him to do is shut up and dribble. I was like, ooh, you don't
Yeah.
say that, because he's gonna show you I am not monolith. I am a multitude of a man. And
Yeah.
I just appreciate all of the things that he has done, initiatives, and he needs to like teach a class on business as it relates to
Mm-hmm.
just branding yourself and branding and having your close-knit friends be the ones to support, and them also being educated and doing things. So it wasn't like he just put them on
Mm-hmm.
because they were homies. They actually
Right.
work themselves. And to see like all of them shine, and LeBron is LeBron is LeBron, to where you saw Governor Newsom of California on the
Yeah.
shop talk signing the name, image, likeness bill. Like, and I joke all the time because I'm like, y'all in California, blame LeBron James. He's the one. And then I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, you know what? And I started thinking, this is a totally story I'm making up. So I was like, you know what? He probably sat there one day, and I'm sure Bronny Jr. wants to go to college for at least a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So LeBron's never went to college. So he don't know that once you sign that scholarship, your name, image, and likeness is to the school, right?
Yeah.
And so think about this. Can you imagine if Bronny Jr. was in a UCLA Jordan jersey with number 23 on it? Y'all better buy at least 5, because that'll be the number
Yeah.
1 selling jersey in history, right? It would be so dope. So by the
It
way,
would.
like,
It would be
Ron never
dope.
hears that. Like, it would be so dope. But do you see what I mean? And then for him
Yeah.
to not get the profits, his son not get the profits off of his own jersey, but because of, yes, his basketball success, but also his father. You know what I mean? Like, he did it for selfish reasons. But like I said, that's the story I'm making up in my head. I don't know LeBron James. So
Yeah, when you start connecting all the dots and stuff, you make things. You can kind of sit back and be like, "What's that one gift?" Be like,
right?
yeah, and yeah, just LeBron in itself, the decorated career that he has is both on and off the court. With him creating the school, and I believe it sits in Akron, I believe, or I mean, it may not be the correct city, but the school that he built.
Mhm.
Big fan of it, just because I'm a big fan of education. I believe that everyone deserves a chance to really truly get one, and
Mhm.
it's not really um, I say that education is not really provided for everyone, at
Mhm.
least not equally. And I'm a big fan of the school. That's why eventually one day that I want to get into teaching one day, just because I want to be able to teach others. Because I'm an engineer, so I like to teach other people the trade of engineer, or just teach other people the disciplines and stuff that goes into it. Just because I want to be able, I know I wasn't gonna make it to where I'm at today without all the mentors that I've had along the way.
Yeah.
Each and every step of the way, they've each taught me something, and I want to be able to give back, just like my mentors at that time gave to me. And LeBron's one of those people that has been doing it simultaneously he's been giving along the way, and another athlete that I love is Tim Anderson.
Mhm.
The stuff that he says, he's himself. He's African American man in a game where it's predominantly white and is
Mhm.
predominantly Hispanic, but what he does for the South Side of Chicago is phenomenal. The stuff that he talks about, he walks about, another one of my favorite athletes in the game right now. So
Yeah.
but
And
yeah,
you
man,
said, hold up, you said that you want to teach one day. Why not now?
why not now? Just go still in school.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I'm working on right now working on my second master's,
Okay.
and I have one master's in engineering management. The second one is in it's business administration with data analytics concentration. So I want to be able to apply the data analytics part to sports and be able to get into that and be able to like just use it so when I go to teaching, I have experience that I can talk to or relate to,
Yeah.
versus like kind of just pulling from the thin air and be
Yeah.
like, and then when kids actually go somewhere and be like, I thought you could do this, and that's not really be the case. So
It's funny you say that. I had a partnership with the math department, and they were actually doing analytics for the
yeah,
volleyball team.
hmm
It was in 2019, but they carried it over into a little
yeah,
think tank as it relates to that. So yeah, that's totally, especially like baseball and
hmm
basketball, like those two sports, analytics is so huge. So
yeah. That's what I want to be able to apply analytics to those like definitely, and I may even expand to this other sports as I continue to like learn more about the game. Like me to sit like to me to go jump into like volleyball, for example, I'm be like, it's going to take me time to really get into it just because I mean I understand the game of volleyball, but the stuff that I don't have the eye for it yet,
got you.
just because I'm not used to watching it on an everyday basis like I am like used to watching baseball or even used to playing baseball or
Yeah.
basketball. Like I can't quite relate to it. I can relate to the one time that once it was in eighth grade. I was on the soccer team, and we always joke with the women at the time, like, man, we could beat y'all. Y'all ain't that good. Like we could beat y'all. We got this. So we set up a game where it was the soccer team versus the volleyball team.
Hmm. Nope.
And man, we got scraped. This score was ugly. This score was like, oh, well, it goes up to 25 for a set, I think.
Mhm.
It was like 8-25, 3-25, 2-25. It was bad. And before we know it, the game was over. So we was like,
It's a fast-paced game. That's what I love about it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. But yeah, we're gonna transition to our rapid fire segment of
Okay.
this. So we're gonna ask this is the game within the game segment where we kind of ask like either or questions where and we kind of have like a running scoreboard of things, but we eventually, hopefully by now, we will have posted a scoreboard of this. We keep saying it, but eventually we're gonna get around to doing it. Trust us.
Okay. Okay.
But so the question is, are you ready to play?
I am.
All right. So the very first question you always ask, not always, but it's to get to break the ice is are you do you prefer chocolate chip cookies or oatmeal raisin cookies?
Chocolate chip.
Okay. I prefer oatmeal cookies, but I'd definitely be cheating on oatmeal cookies with chocolate chip cookies. So I
Or
can't.
I do both. A chocolate chip oatmeal cookie. So
Ooh, so I don't know. I don't know if I can mix. Like you talk about all in one, like a chocolate chip and oatmeal.
yes, chocolate chip and oatmeal cookie.
Yeah,
I don't.
instead of the raisins, you got to put the chocolate chunks in it.
Exact. See,
Yeah.
exact.
I don't know. I feel like
Or
you can't.
everything but the kitchen sink cookies, and then you put oatmeal, cranberries,
Still
white
too much.
chocolate, caramel.
Still too
We,
much.
we eat them for Christmas. It's too much, but the only time we have them is Christmas, and my aunt makes them. So
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I get that. But man,
Yeah.
that's a lot to go into one cookie. That's why it's all in one cookie, I guess.
Yeah. So next one, do you prefer TV shows or movies?
TV shows.
What's
What's your
one?
favorite TV show? Yeah.
What's my favorite one? Oof.
Or which one are you currently watching right now?
Oh man. Oh my gosh, I got into Cruel Summer on Hulu. Like
Okay.
anyone who, I don't have any kids, but after watching Cruel Summer, I'm like, I want all boys. I do not want girls. Oh my gosh, like
Yeah.
they're vicious in high school, like. But also too, Law and Order SVU. I think it's just the
Okay.
best show ever because you got to watch the first 2 minutes, and then
Mhm.
it all is done in an hour. It's the best. So,
Wow.
and I just saw
Long.
High on the Hog. That was another TV show learning about the history of American food and the impact African American culture has had on food.
I may maybe want to have to go and watch.
Yeah, it's good. It's on Netflix. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, for me, TV shows, a lot of them's going off air right now, but Blackish, one of the shows I watch all the time right now. Chicago Fire. Most of these shows are pretty much I watch with me, me and my wife, we watch together. I'm also like also a big nerd as well as a big sports fan, so I watch a lot of anime. So we won't get into that.
Yeah, that's a slope, right? Once you get into
Yeah.
that, and I'm like, oh, I know Samurai Jack, and my friends are like, that's not anime, that's American.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, sorry. Oh,
Yes, yes,
Frasier.
yes.
Frasier is one of my favorite shows. I can watch it nonstop. It's hilarious. And of course, Rick and Morty and Bob's Burgers.
Okay, both are two very well done cartoons that are pretty good. Brady, what about you, man?
TV shows. My favorite TV shows is one of them is watching Last Man Standing, and then I've been watching The Good Doctor. So those are the two that I can watch forever. But yeah, I do like Rick and Morty and watching Bob's Burgers. They're great ones.
Yeah, I knew I liked you, Brady.
What's your favorite sports moment that you have seen or witnessed?
That I've seen or witnessed. Oh, that's a tough one. There's so many. One recently is, since volleyball wise, one recently is watching the University of Kentucky win their first national title. That was really cool to watch, and just the bubble and all of that, and allowing the women to play. And that match was just such thoroughbred athleticism, just volleyball, really good volleyball. So that was a moment. I love when people first time in history. I think that
Hmm.
is always amazing.
That is, that's still amazing today that we still have a lot of first times of this happened, first time this happened, especially just outside of sports. So,
Yeah. I'm really hoping, I can't wait for the day. So no female head coach has ever won a national title in volleyball. So still looking forward to that day, like for us as women.
it's coming. I
Yeah,
believe that.
it's coming. It's coming.
One of the ones we have is if you get a chance to take over any organization, whether it be women's sports, men's sports, anything, what organization would you take over?
Nike. I just love Nike so much. Um, yeah. And one I wouldn't take over, but I really want to work for Adam Silver. Like,
Mm,
I just think he's got the formula. He
he
listens
does. He
and
does.
and he puts action into it. So
Best commissioner of any of this professional sports right now.
yeah,
It's Adam
hands
Silver,
down.
man. Hands
Yeah.
down. Like
Oh,
not
and
even.
NCAA. Can I take that over? I just want to try.
Please,
Like,
please.
I just want to see if I could do it, and then I'll probably after a day be like, nah, never mind, fam.
Yeah, please.
Never mind.
Like if you ever get the chance to do that, you need to put a staff together. Add me to that staff.
I got both of y'all. Well,
Since I know you're a basketball fan, so build either your top five in either the WNBA or the NBA.
yo, but you trying to get me in trouble? Build my top five?
Mhm.
Okay, NBA. Point guard. I gotta go with Westbrook. I just love the passion, but he gonna have to pass the ball. He gonna have to pass
That's
the rock.
fine. That's fine. That's fine.
And then Curry, of course, for shooting the long range. You got to have LeBron on your team. Giannis and KD.
KD is a
Yo,
different.
he went off. Like,
He did.
went
He
off.
did. He did. And that dude is just a different breed, man. Like, look, that's a whole other separate podcast in itself. We're talking about KD.
I also need like Giannis to have more pieces. They gotta bring see Damian Lillard though. Like I listened to J. Cole's um album. Yeah, I listened to J. Cole's album and I sent my young women what he talked about off season when he put out Damian Lillard
Mhm.
and what he talked about. And I
Yeah.
loved it because then that was in our weekly meeting and I was like, what do you think about that? And they're like, I like it. And they said what parts they like and stuff like that. So I always try to relate to pop culture, but
Yeah.
I thought that was super dope too. Like, but if we could put Damian Lillard on a team with Giannis, I feel like, you
You feel
know,
that's a good combo?
I feel like it is. Like
I can see that.
they both about to glad Milwaukee paid him because
Yeah. Woo. That's why I have my eyes on Dame because Dame is, he's been carrying a franchise for a good grip now, and the fact that keep getting bounced in the first round, second round.
I feel like it's coming. I feel like
I feel like it's coming, but he loves that Oregon. He's been super super loyal to them, like loyal to like as much as Giannis has been loyal to the Bucks. So
it was
I'm
Westbrook, but where is he now? You feel me? Like it eventually.
yeah.
So we'll see. That's what's fun about it now, where before, they were pigeonholed and they still try to, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, at the end of the day, just let them play. If they want to play with each other, there's no parity in sports. So, like, when we say fairness, like, that isn't a word in athletics. Like,
Yeah.
the great get great, like, and let them shine and be them, So let them
Yep.
decide where they want to play with each other.
Plus, there's no guarantee that they actually do make it with all the
Yep.
talent that they have on the team. So they still got to figure it out. They still got to work together. They still got to
Yep.
work with all the other people on the team. Plus, injuries happen, things happen.
Kyrie,
So,
right? Like,
yeah, look, there's a reason why you want other stars in the team because two of them go out. At least you still got KD that can still drop 47. And
who you telling? That's what I'm saying. Like, people rely on one horse. I used to. I can't rely on one. I need a cool six. Like, you go down, all right, next man up, Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that kind of concludes our interview for today, this podcast episode. So for those people that are listening on different platforms and watching this on YouTube, when we post it up there, where can they find you and follow along with your career?
LinkedIn. My LinkedIn as it relates. My Instagram is private and I do it that way so that when my players graduate, they're able to follow me, So it's kind of fun. And then they snoop through all my pictures and everything. It's hilarious. But definitely LinkedIn, Fullerton Athletics website. And then also we have our own Instagram. All of our Twitter handles and all that is on the website as well. Fullerton_WVB. So.
Gotcha. Now we'll definitely take a look at that. But Desmond and I like to thank you, Ashley, for coming on and joining this podcast today. I know we'll take what you said today and we'll use that in our everyday lives. And I know someone out there listening to this will also tune in and take that as well. And for those people that are watching us and listening to us, you can follow us at Capture the Game. You can search us up on Instagram. You can find us at CTG_podcast on Twitter. And then you can find us on YouTube and Facebook by searching up Capture the Game podcast. Again, Ashley, I'd like to thank you for joining us today. And we hope that we can have you on again here in the near future.
Of course. Thank you so much. I had so much fun. Like, it was a lot of fun.